This is a Sony STR-DE635 surround receiver. The problem is that there's no sound. It's not in protection or anything like that. There's simply no sound. And the display does work. It's just in a sort of a display mute mode. Now, I've already done my troubleshooting on this receiver, but I did want to do just a quick repair blog on this. Sony's are a little different than a lot of receivers, and we'll show you how in just a moment. Now, on Sony receivers, their Darlington outputs should be about 1.2 volts on the base. In this particular case, there's nothing on the base of these output transistors, and the reason for that turned out to be no DC drive from the driver ICs. Now, very often muting is accomplished with muting transistors and the like. These driver ICs have a mute pin, which is in turn activated by these transistors here. Well, a little bit of troubleshooting determined I didn't have any DC voltage here, even arriving at the muting transistors, and that was a result of, if I can find it here, okay, sorry about that. And the DC voltage from for these muting transistors comes from right over here. You have a couple of 1 ohm resistors that through which is supplied the B plus and B minus for the driver ICs. One of these 1 ohm resistors was open, but let's show you on the main circuit board here. They're right about here. Okay, and the receiver is turned on. Now on the Sony receivers, you have your output transistors here. You have to be very careful not to have a probe slip. Bad things would happen. But right there on the output transistors, we have plus and minus 63 volts or thereabouts. And yet on the bases of the output transistors, you got nothing. Okay. Now, up here is where those 1 ohm resistors are. It just happens to be right here. That one you have voltage across on both sides. This one here, where I've already soldered a couple of little gimmicks, you have plus voltage on one side and nothing on the other. Okay, now as I say, I've already determined that this is my problem. It's a 1 ohm resistor was bad here, and now I temporarily put a 1 ohm resistor in there and measured across it, so this should be safe. At this point, I'm just going to have a current meter across that, those 2 points in the circuit. It's not something you'd normally do. Here's our milliamps right there with the unit turned off. And the unit's turned on now. We just heard the relay. We're running about 54 milliamps where that resistor would be in circuit, and using another meter to measure voltage, we now have our drive on the output transistors. So you know, that should fix our problem. There will be a final test on this, of course, and some basic checking of other functions. But that's our problem on this receiver, the bad 1 ohm resistor. This has been a repair brief by the Multimeter Junkie. Over and out.